GC, see, I went to the first 2 years of high school. I went to a school called Sumter County in South Georgia, and when I moved up here, it was a lot better. I think the teachers, the way their teaching style was better than where I was at previously. I had decent grades. I think they were probably B's. My study habits were never good. So when I got out of high school and started taking college classes, it's life support. Yeah, you had to put me on life support to keep going. But I think that's important too, is good study habits. If you don't have that in high school, it's going to translate later in life. Frankly, it's a form of self-control. You have to really get into the books. So as far as studying, and even if you're going to write, it took me a year to write Celerity. I mean, that took a lot more discipline than I thought I could muster at the time. So it does. When you have good teachers, then the students will also be, successful later on. And I believe GC has good teachers. All right, I think GC at the time was the only high school that I could go to besides Calhoun, and we didn't live in the city limits at the time. But it was fine with me because when I started, there were, I met some people I knew, even though I'd lived in South Georgia for years. So I think the GC was a good choice. My grandmother was an English teacher, and when I first graduated, I moved into the IT world, and but always had the literary thing in the back of my mind. Later on, that actually influenced me to want to write a novel, and so that is how ultimately Celerity came into being. So the Warrior Academy is it's pretty unique. We didn't have that when I went to GC, so that's definitely an awesome thing that's unique to this school. Oh, the most memorable experience from GC, probably the time that we beat Calhoun in football. I haven't seen it happen again. So my favorite color when I was younger, when I was in elementary school, it was yellow. I got older and it was blue. Now I like white. There were a few teachers that didn't really focus on students. They kind of went about the motions, and I wish GC at the time would have had teachers that were concerned about the individual student to cover and focus on each student, their needs. But I think that's very important when you have a student that's, saying I'm having issues with this, especially in math. That would be excellent, and I didn't see that a lot. So I think that is something that needs to be reformed in the school system if it has not already been. Yeah, I work with a couple that I went to high school with. We were not in any particular category because some of them were into sports, but like part-time. I was middle ground, I guess is what you could say. I wasn't with the necessarily super popular kids because they're usually out there, and I wasn't with the super unpopular, but I'm one of those that could have mixed with both sometimes. What would be considered nerdy back in the day was Magic the Gathering cards, and I used to play that all the time. I used to play it all the time. I had like 4,000 cards, I kid you not. And I don't have them anymore. But yeah, so I was middle ground. I don't know. All right, so Celerity is about a football player. He plays for the Atlanta Falcons, and I had to do that because my family they're all big Falcons fans. So if I was to say something off the wall like the Eagles or something like that, it wouldn't go over well. But the story starts basically he's on the run from the law enforcement because they think he may have killed his girlfriend, but he didn't. He was actually attacked by someone while he was driving down the road. Well, the story progresses that the detective gets an anonymous tip that this gentleman is in New York at this estate of a well-known individual. So they scope out the place and they find him. Well, it turns out that he wasn't human in the sense of the way you think human.